Thank you guys for all coming out today. It's amazing to see you guys all out here. I'd like to first say thank you to Lisa Dow, Tiffany Michaels of Dementia Care Coaching and the Alzheimer's Association. Thank you for asking me to speak. It's an honor to be here, and I'm humbled by everyone here. It's just great. When Lisa asked me if I would like to speak about what I did this summer, I immediately said yes. And if you know me, the problem isn't asking me to talk, the problem is to getting me to be quiet. So on June 30th of this year, my father-in-law, Ross Abinanti, walked away from the family car and vanished. Ross had been diagnosed with frontal temporal dementia earlier this year, and we as a family had been struggling with coming to terms of his illness. We felt isolated and lost in our efforts to help Ross. It had always been the strength of our family, and now with his FTD, we face the loss of our father, our husband, our brother, and our friend. But as you know, we didn't really lose Ross. Ross was still very present in our lives. It was what replaced Ross that we struggled with. The repeating of stories, the empty stares as he searched for an answer he just couldn't find, the sad glint in his eyes trying to connect his memory to a jazz riff playing on the stereo. The Ross we got wasn't the Ross we knew or wanted, and there was no way of returning him to get the old Ross back. We felt alone in our struggle and frustrated with the lack of understanding with each other and with the world. We had to change our world to accommodate Ross, but the world had not changed to accommodate him. Ross was our secret, and we hadn't the tools to share his and our struggles. So when Ross went missing that night in June, we again found ourselves in a situation where not only was he lost in his mind, but he was lost in the physical world. And that night at 1:45 in the morning, I posted a comment on my Facebook page, "Alert, Ross Abinanti, Missy's dad, has gone missing. This is not a joke. He was last seen in the parking lot in downtown Campbell on June 30th. If you see him, call Campbell PD." And with those words, the solitary world that we as a family had been living in blew up. Our good friends Jen and Chris set up a Facebook and email account to get the word out to everyone that Ross was missing. Long-lost friends like Mary Ayers showed up at our makeshift headquarters at Starbucks in downtown Campbell, offering their computers and time to help assist us with the searching for Ross. In fact, we joked that the search for Ross was sponsored by Starbucks Coffee and Mac Computers. In order to find Ross, we had to talk to the media. We not only had to tell them that Ross was missing, but that he was at risk because of his FTD. As a family, we had to become very well versed in the language surrounding Alzheimer's and other dementia-related illnesses. For this, we looked to the Alzheimer's Association, who provided us with resources and support, and to Dementia Care Coaching that helped us talk to each other. Soon, the secret of Ross's FTD was out. We even put a sign on the check-in to remind people of his dementia that read like a special feature to Ross. The sign read with exclamation points, "Has dementia," like we were announcing high in fiber or prize in every box. Once everyone knew about Ross's FTD, something strange happened. People began to share with us their own struggles with family members or friends that have dementia or Alzheimer's. Our friend Amy, who we've known for ages, confessed to us that her father was going through the exact same thing that Ross was going through, and that she too felt the same way that we had been feeling. We began to realize that we were not alone, that together these strangers who shared their stories with us became our family. We shared our stories and experiences. We laughed, we cried, we scratched our heads in confoundment, and hugged each other when each section of the map had been covered. We had a common ground and a common goal, to find Ross. And as the days went by, the support grew stronger and stronger. Even with no word of any sightings, people from his past came out and began to share their memories of Ross. They would tell us that he was his favorite teacher, that they learned so much about themselves through his teaching. Old classmates reunited and would go posting flyers together. One former student, Beth Ann, organized a public transit search that consisted of only students to search for Ross. When thanked for their efforts, one student replied, "It's Mr. Abinanti. Why wouldn't we do it? He would do it for us." On the 7th day of Ross's ordeal, we gathered together and we walked the route that we believed he walked and let it be known that he was still missing. With a crowd of over 150 people holding banners saying, "Today is the day we find Ross." we as a family realized even more so that we were not alone. And on the 10th day, tired and mentally drained, we as a family, not knowing where to go or what to do, hunkered down and had dinner. Now, it's in a tradition in my family that when all else fails, you cook. So we as a family stood in the kitchen and cooked a meal that Ross would have loved. We sat around a large table while eating and talking about the amazing things that had happened and all the people that had volunteered and had shared their lives with us. We talked about how we didn't really feel alone anymore. In fact, for the first time in years, we felt more connected with each other in the world and in regards to Ross. And there, beneath the stars of a warm July night, we as a family celebrated Ross and those who inspired us. And as we stepped away from the table, we got the call. Ross was found, alive. We held our breaths. We held our breaths and we ran to the hospital. We cried tears of joy upon hearing his voice when we asked Marcel, should I go to the market and pick up bananas? For some reason. And at that night, after we left the hospital, we went home and sent out the call that today was the day we found Ross. And the next day, instead of meeting and pass out flyers, we met at Starbucks and shared with each other our great sense of amazement and joy of Ross's return. Now, one would think that once Ross was found, that the support would wane and eventually stop altogether. But that didn't happen. We still have 1,500 people on our Facebook page and over 250 people asking for emails about what he's doing. And every day we get prayers and thoughts of support from the community around us. The community rejoiced when my wife and I went missing, when it decided to step away from the computers and go out on a date. And when the family asked ourselves, what more could we do to help our community and help people feel the support we feel? And Lisa Dow approached me and requested to post flyers for the Memory of Walks events. And we did, but we wanted to do more because so many people had helped us. This is why we as a family are here today. I stand before you to share my family story, and in sharing our story, I hope you will share yours with those around you, because these are the stones that paved this road that brought us here. Be it a father who wandered away and went missing for 10 days, the wife who has forgotten her husband's touch, the brother who talks to you as if you were still children playing together, a friend who has succumbed and is no longer with us. They all have led us here. It is for them we walk today. Today I walk for Ross, and as I walk, I remember what he cannot. I remember his football days. I remember his love of Miles Davis. I remember how his eyes sparkled whenever his daughters walked into a room. I remember how he would close his eyes upon hearing his wife's voice singing, as if lost in the beauty. And I lost my last page. But it's thank you. There it is. And all these things I'll remember. And I ask that you guys do the same. As you walk, remember those who you walk for, and remember those things that they cannot. Share those memories with each other. Laugh, cry, rejoice, reflect, remember. This summer was spent finding Ross. I never would have imagined that in finding Ross, I would find you, a community. I would find my family, and that I would find myself. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Thank you, Brett.